How's it going? So, I live at the end of a long, bumpy dirt road. And unfortunately, the county doesn't maintain that road. We're supposed to. So today, we're gonna do something about that. And a smart person would take this opportunity and build a nice big road grader that anybody can use. Well, I never claimed to be a smart person. I'm gonna do something much more hokey, but I think it'll be pretty cool. I wanna make a road grader of some sort that fits on the bottom of my truck where I can push a button and it'll come down. Then I can grade the road every day when I come and go. There are some obvious problems with this, and it may be a bit ill-advised, but I got a case of the YouTube brain, man. Everything needs a bit of a hokey gimmick to it. Anyway, let's go look at the truck. So looking under the truck, I'm thinking we'll pull the spare tire. I'll make a mount for that on the roof or something. We'll be able to fit a road grader in between these little flanges on either side of the hitch. So that gives us about a 35-inch span. So yeah, I guess let's make a frame. These are gonna be our outside rails. The thing needs to be heavy, and these are kind of decently beefy. It's 3/16, and we can fill it with concrete. So I went right ahead and I cut a bevel onto here, because these are gonna be the skates that slide on the ground. So I want to fill these up with concrete to make them heavier, and I didn't have any concrete, but I had some cement, and I'm desperately scraping sand up from this pile, so you know, it'll work. We're gonna mix the concrete with random bits of rainwater that have been laying around. This is some true salvage concrete. It doesn't have to be good concrete, it just has to be, you know, dense concrete. Oh, let's do this. One little baby scoop at a time. Yeah, maybe I made a little bit too much concrete. The sound is interesting. What could be causing that? Now, we gotta weld these shut. And I have a feeling that it's gonna be a bit of a mess. I clamped it to the trash can. That's the best I got. Woo! It's steamy. Okay, is it gonna blow up if I fully weld it? I mean, the steam gotta go somewhere, right? I'm just gonna do it. I think all that's gonna happen is we're not gonna be able to fully weld it because the last little bit of steam is gonna be wanting to come out. It's totally not letting me do that last little bit of weld either. It doesn't have to be airtight, it's just gotta be concrete tight. I guess here's the problem with doing this over the trash. Well, I guess it's not going anywhere. Might as well finish. So I actually went through and ground all the welds down on these. They're heavy, man. That's a good thing. Don't mind the rain. That's kind of what I get for having a little tin hut. Anyway, I got these scraps of semi-beefy tubing here. These are just gonna go across like this. Boop, boop. So, I'm gonna get this all laid out here. Oh! Ay, it's heavy. The way I'm thinking I want to do this, it's gonna be like land plane style. I wanna have two diagonal pieces here that we can put a blade onto that will hopefully dig into the soil a little bit and, you know, do something. Alright, we'll see what I have. These are gonna be the two pieces at an angle in there. But before I weld it in, we need some notches on the face of this that these bolts can slide in so we can mount a blade on the front and adjust the height of it. So, plasma cutter. Ooh. So I've gone ahead and I've taken the slats off of half of the bed and I've taken our pieces of angle iron and clamped them down at about the same height as the bed. And I've lined up the machine and zeroed everything on the center mark of these. So now, theoretically, I should just be able to run the program and we'll get all our slots cut in this angle. We'll see if that works. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I didn't think that through. Hey, but it knocked all the pieces out. Hey, you know what, man? I think that worked pretty well. So I got the slats all put back on, and ideally, I would use like an old plow blade or something like hardened as the blades, but I don't have anything like that, so I'm just gonna use some thick metal. This is about 3/8 thick. I think that'll do just fine. So I'm just gonna straight up cut the blades out with the plasma cutter, and hey man, maybe the heat will harden it a little bit. All of this turned out pretty freaking nice, man. Those are some quality slots. Okay, hold on. I was gonna say they fit. Once the slag is knocked off, they fit the bolts pretty good. Here's our blade. That also turned out pretty nice. I'm dubious that they're actually gonna fit everything, but you know, nothing a hammer can't solve, right? Now we just gotta knock off this nasty slag on the bottom, and for long pieces like this, I like to use the violin method. Okay, that didn't work very good. Guess we gotta do it the old-fashioned way. Beautiful. Now, we can figure out exactly where these guys are gonna go. I have these pieces of 1/2-inch square tube in there as a spacer. No! No! Well, the time has finally come, everybody. It appears I've run out of welding wire. It's 5 o'clock anyway. Screw it, I'm done. See you tomorrow. Wire. Okay, where were we? That is heavy, man. Now, I guess let's get the blades ready to go on. So we're using these carriage bolts. That's why I went and cut a square into this side. Why am I using carriage bolts? That's what they put on plow blades. I don't know, it just looks right. Look at that, it all lines up just right. Ay, ay, ay. This is very possibly it for what we're gonna do on this thing. I think first, I wanna see how this little thing works. Better make sure it does, you know, something before mounting it to the truck. So, I think I'm just gonna wrap a chain around it and pull it that way. Screw wrapping a chain around it. I'm just gonna weld one on. And one more thing while we're in here. GoPro mount. Okie dokie. So I've just got a chain hooked onto my hitch right now. I think I'm just gonna drag it around the yard. I've got my backup camera on just so I can keep an eye on it. Here goes nothing. Oh, it's digging in a lot. Okay, that seems like it might actually do something. I didn't think we were gonna be digging in very much. Now I'm gonna hop up on the driveway here. That might not be good. I might drag some stuff onto the driveway. And we've got about 30 feet. It's staying straight. It seems to be working okay. Okay, well, it's hard to tell if anything happened because this is gravel and it was already pretty smooth, but go look at the dirt, because that actually looked like it was doing quite a bit. We definitely got a path. I think I'm not gonna know if it actually does anything worthwhile until I go try and do something worthwhile with it. but the thing stayed straight and it seems like it does something. Let's go find some washboarded out road and see if I can do anything about it. I'm gonna try and get this thing up in the truck. I won't have the machine when I'm out on the road. It's miserable, but it's possible. Let's go find some washboarding. Oh yeah, there we go. Good old washboards. Nice. Here's our before. As you can see, it's a very bumpy ride. Let's see if we can make 3 feet of this nice and smooth. Look at that. It's not perfect, but it's definitely knocking the humps down a little bit. Dude, I think it's more substantial than I thought it would be. Now, it sucks that it's only 3 feet wide, but it just means I gotta drive down the road in different spots every time I go in and out. It's fine, no problem. We gotta get one shot from our little GoPro mount. Hopefully we don't lose the GoPro. So it appears that I had the GoPro in time-lapse mode, so here's our nice time-lapse. Professional. It definitely has some issues with rocks. Look, I'm dragging a rock here. Nothing I can do about that, really. And man, I can't believe it actually kind of does something at all. Time to screw my back up a little more. Okay, now we gotta somehow figure out how to attach this to the bottom of the truck. I went ahead and I took the spare tire down. I think I'm gonna remove this part. And I kind of laid down here and stared at everything for a while. I think I might end up having to cut the exhaust anyways. But we'll see. One thing at a time. Let's remove this guy. I don't really have a small enough tripod to fit you under here, but I don't know, I'll figure it out. Look at that. Maybe I should strap this up there, huh? Okay. I was in the back using the plasma cutter to cut some pieces out and look what happened. That is sketchy, man. I don't like that. Anyway, I cut these pieces out. I set up a program to cut around the actual like leftover material. So it's like I cut this arch, I cut this side, this was all just drop. But it kind of screwed up on the holes pretty bad. We don't even really have one good hole, so I think the only way I have to clean them up is just using the plasma cutter manually. Well, they're not the nicest things in the world, but the holes line up, and that's what matters. So, I guess we gotta get back up under that sketchy truck and figure out how these are going on. Hey, can we trust it? It seems okay, but I'm still scared. You know how we made it a little shorter so we wouldn't have to cut the exhaust? We're gonna have to cut the exhaust. Basically, I want to have this bar mounted on a pivot on the frame with the other side on our little sled. And it needs to be able to fall down to the ground, which the exhaust kind of prevents that. So, I don't know, is there any real reason why the exhaust has to be this far back? Can I just cut it at the back of the muffler? It's fine, I don't really care. So, we've got the tire off. If you can see our little crosshairs here, that is where I want to put the bolt on the frame. Yeah, that made for quite the ugly weld. Don't tell anybody. Okay, now we can go ahead and put a bolt in our little linkage arm thing. And we want this to be as high up on the thing as possible. How about right there? And I wish I wore a glove. It's close. One little kick. There we go. Perfect. Now let's do the other side. Beautiful, we got it. All right, straps off. Let's let it down a little bit. Look at that. That'll do, huh? It's good, it looks good. I think I like it. Now, can we lift it completely into place just pulling on the back? So I've gone right ahead and I drilled a little hole here and I fished this come along through, and that is tied to our little thingy, and it is expertly dodging all the wiring down there. Maybe not so expertly, but expertly enough. Is it going to go to the right place when I tighten this thing up? Oh, the knot came undone. How dumb is this? Oh God. Oh God, that went right into the jack stands. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be working, man. I think we need a different plan. I think I want to try and lift it from the middle, and to do that, I'm gonna weld this piece of rebar in there and we can lift it from there. I found a crimpy thing, so I can't actually watch what's happening when I'm doing it from in the bed, so you're gonna have to tell me what happens. Hey, I think that worked. It's a little wobbly, but if we make sure that it's pulled all the way up as tight as it can be, I think it'll be no problem. And I just don't think we can get that tight with the resolution of the come along, for lack of a better word. Like, I can't get it up one more tooth, and one more tooth would probably do it. Let's install the winch. Now, this guy is definitely kind of overkill for what we're using it for, but it's $50, man. How can I deny that? I took the mounting plate and rubbed a pencil on it and made this little template. So let's go transfer this under the truck and weld some studs in. First, we gotta lower the frickin' thing. I don't really know how to do that. Whoa! Ah, that wasn't so bad. I don't know if you can actually see anything that I'm doing, but honestly, I don't care. I just want to get this done. Sorry. In retrospect, maybe it wasn't a great idea to make a video where 90% of it is underneath the truck. Okay, I take it back. I'm drilling it out. This is impossible. This is way too hard. Oh, thank God. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Beautiful. Okay, the studs don't line up. We're gonna need a hammer, which I do not have. Ay, ay, ay. We're on, and I got one nut on. Going up. Look at that. Beautiful, and it's tight, man. Now we gotta figure out how to wire it. I'm very pleased with how tight that is. That's exactly what we want. So the winch is gonna work. Just how does the winch know when we're at the top or at the bottom? I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do the wiring for this. In a perfect world, I hit a button and it lowers down into position, and then when I unhit the button, it'll raise back up to right where it wants to be. And to get it up to the upper end of travel should be pretty easy. We just have it hit a limit switch in the correct position. The real problem is the bottom. I could maybe put a limit switch somewhere in the linkages to detect when it's at the bottom of travel, but it's not gonna be reliable because those linkages are meant to move up and down as the grade changes, so there's not actually a concrete bottom position. So maybe we could do it with a timer, but I'm still dubious. All of these problems could be solved with an Arduino, but I don't want to use an Arduino for this. Because if I'm being totally honest, an Arduino in a car is not the most reliable thing in the world. I put an Arduino in my windshield wipers and I've had it die multiple times, and sometimes it gets glitchy. It's not great, especially in a snowstorm. And with this, I don't want it to glitch out and drop while I'm on the highway or something. I kind of just want this to be absolutely rock solid. So, unfortunately, I think I'm just gonna wire it for manual control. So I'll just install a switch like this on the dash, and using that, we'll lower it as low as we want and raise it as high as we want. Now, we can add a little bit of smarts. I think at the upper end of it, I want it to turn a little light on the dash so I know that it's all the way up. But yeah, the bottom, we're just gonna have to count Mississippis. which is kind of lame, but I think that that's my best bet. So I gotta go to the store and get some wire and a cute little lamp. I put this panel in my, I think it was the dump trailer video, but I still have yet to use these last 3 switches. So I think I'm gonna pull this last switch out and replace it with our dual pole, dual throw switch. And while I'm in there, these are all just basically circuit breakers. I'm just gonna bypass that on this one because I'm gonna put a different type of fuse in line. So I'll drill out this part so I can fit this light. And this will be our little indicator light that tells us that the thing isn't all the way up. So we got some wires to run. And here I have a button stuck in a piece of flat bar. One side's gonna get 12 volts, the other side goes up to the cab. So this is what's gonna turn our LED on and off. And we just gotta weld that in place. Okay, beautiful. Oh, I'm never going down there again. Hey, look at you, you stayed upright that whole time. Proud of you. Look at our nice little switch. We lower it, and the light turns on. And once it's all the way up, the light turns off. And I thought controlling it this way was gonna be like worse than it is. I can actually hear once it's down on the ground and once it's all the way up. So like, it's not too much guesswork. Anyway, to the road. We've reached a pretty bad section of the road. Deploy the grader. And here we go. And we're going over the spot where I already, ran this thing, and there are spots where it looks like it may have done something. Now, it hasn't done much, right? So obviously there's a couple things that we're gonna have to do before this thing is fully operational, but it's not doing nothing. So we got that going for us. And with me having a spare tires are the suckers.
Looking back at the GoPro footage, we got a couple problems here. One, that hook kind of bounces around, and if it's not centered, it won't retract correctly. That's easy, we'll just weld it in place. Two, we are digging into the road and kind of doing something, but it could be better. So I filled another tube with concrete and welded it to the front to kind of hold the front down a little better, and I'm just gonna have to drive slower. But overall, it worked pretty good. So yeah, let's go grade that road.
Well. We're doing much better, man. We still got quite a bit of bumps in here, but it's not like washboard city. This is about as bad as the washboards get these days. So I never actually shot an outro to this video, so it's been a couple months, but that means I've had this thing in use for, quite a bit of time, and I have been running it in and out every day when I leave the property. So I got a pretty good idea on what it does and doesn't do. Now, washboards, excellent. They are 100% better than they were, even with me just doing, a little 35-inch pass every time. When it doesn't rain for a while, we get these hard spots on the road. Does absolutely nothing to that. Potholes basically does absolutely nothing. But the washboard is so much better. Every little bit helps, and it definitely helps. So, we did it, man! Now, after a little bit of use, it's definitely showing some wear and tear, so I might have to think of some sort of way to have replaceable wear bars at the bottom or something, but we're not to that point quite yet. So, that's a later problem. But, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how this all turned out. The road is still a rough road, but that's what I signed up for living out here, and, I guess next we gotta make a pothole filling machine. So, yeah, that's what I got for you this time. If you like what you saw, leave a good old dinger. If you can, support me on Patreon. Links are in the doobly-doo. Think about subscribing, and, Thank you for watching.